What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to the JTFB channel. It's your boy Josh. I switched up the intro a little bit. Let me know what y'all think. Chef Dre, I know you're picky about my intros, man. Let me know what you think. Just trying to find something. I don't know. I had some time today, so I kind of wanted to change things up. But 202 Titus became a member of the channel before I even went live. So shout out to 202 Titus. Join membership for the channel to support your boy. And we're going to be blowing up this offseason, y'all. It's already been a lot of activity. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I did the Senior Bowl, dropped a video there. Y'all blew that up to 10K views. I appreciate that. We've had some really good discussions so far in the live streams. And then I dropped a video, what was it, like 2 days ago, talking about the current free agents for the Washington Commanders. So check that out too if you haven't already, because Washington has 29 free agents. 29. So I went through all of the free agents on our team and gave my thoughts on them. I appreciate y'all coming through the stream. We're going to be talking about everything. We're going to be talking about Myles Garrett. We're going to talk about Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins. Tyreek Hill had some things to say today too. And we'll talk draft, free agency. Let me know what y'all want to hear about. Blow up the chats. Appreciate y'all coming through. 202 Titus said, let's go. Appreciate you becoming a member. Sharon said, before anything, we got to know if Garrett is headed here. I mocked a draft for both ways. So with Myles Garrett, just kind of feeling things out. And I was really glad, I'm going to be at the Super Bowl next year. I don't even care if we go or not. I'm going to go just for the media stuff. But it seemed like I really appreciated the people talking to Myles Garrett. He was on like 3 or 4 shows, especially Rich Eisen. I'm pretty sure he was on Kay Adams' show too, I think it was. And just hearing what he had to say, I just get such a feeling that Myles Garrett's going to be gone. Like the farther things progress, and it's only been a few days, but hearing him talk, just like about his process and how he went about it and reaching out to LeBron, Akron, Ohio native LeBron, who went through that process before. And it just seems like he's really serious about this. It just seems like he really wants out and he wants the Browns to do what's best for him. And Rich Eisen even said, there's a pathway that the Browns don't trade you. There's a pathway that the Browns say, look, you are a key part of our, rebuild or whatever you want to call it that they're going to be doing. I don't know if they're going to be rebuilding much with that contract of Deshaun Watson, but they're like, look, there's a way that they just said they're not going to trade you. And what about that? And he was like, that is a possibility. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. He's like, I kind of have trust that, they'll do the right thing. And it just sounds like he is more than likely gone. And in my opinion, and this is bias aside, just looking at it, I think Washington would really be one of the front runners. And a lot of people think this. A lot of main media people think this, that Washington would be one of the front runners, if not the front runner. I think when it comes Vegas odds, the Browns are number 1 right now, and then Washington's number 2, and then there's a pretty good gap to number 3. But you got to think about the teams that are going to have the capital to be able to pay Myles Garrett, but then also the draft capital and be in a situation that he wants to go to. And he was vocal. People asked him about the Washington Commanders. Sports Illustrated was another one that, that a lot of people, I'm sure y'all saw the video, asked about it. And he was like, I think I can be the key piece that gets them, that pass rushing piece that gets them over the hump. He said he was all for it. He loved what Jaden did. He said he appreciates having a quarterback, like that, how important it is, especially a rookie quarterback like Jaden who took him to the NFC Championship. I think Myles Garrett would be all over coming to Washington. I think this is the perfect spot for him. Now we have to talk about what it's going to cost to give him up. And Monday, I'm going to do my first mock draft. I had a couple people on the last live stream I did asking for a mock draft. So Monday, I'm going to make mock draft Monday the thing. I'm going to do a mock draft. I've already, made the thumbnail for it. It's going to be a Myles Garrett mock draft on the PFF mock draft simulator and what that looks like, what Washington will likely have to give up. And then what the rest of the draft could look like, building around Myles Garrett, trading those pieces. But just like off the rip, I think it would take 2 firsts. I think a first this year and a first next year. And then I wouldn't be surprised if it took a third next year. I think people are undervaluing like what the Myles Garrett trade could look like because they have the trades of like, oh, Amari Cooper, oh, D Hop in their mind, and like some of the past trades. But for the Browns, who have to restructure Watson and restructure Ward and restructure or probably release Conklin, I wouldn't mind having Conklin here as a right tackle either. It's gonna like the price is gonna have to be hefty for them to be able, because they're taking a huge dead cap hit trading Myles Garrett. Like it's costing them like $20 million, if not more. I think it might be even more to just get rid of Myles Garrett. This isn't like re-signing him. This isn't to get rid of Myles Garrett. They have to pay a lot of money in a dead salary cap. So for me, it's going to cost 2 firsts at minimum. And then the rest is like, that's what, like, to me, like that's the entryway to get into a conversation with the Browns. Whether it's us, whether it's any other team, you start with 2 firsts. And then teams are going to say, oh, we'll throw a 5th in there. We'll throw a 4th. I think when it comes down to it, I think this is going to be like a 4 or 5 team race. And I think if Washington offers a first this year, a first next year, and then a third next year, I think that would get the job done. James Pierce Jr. This edge class is really good. I've liked James Pierce Jr. for a while. My thing is I want guys who can stop the run on the way to the quarterback. So, like for me, I'm not saying they have to be like a bigger guy because I think Mike Green as an undersized guy is really good at stopping the run. I think Josiah Stewart, who is undersized to a lot of people from Michigan, is actually one of the best ones at stopping the run in this edge class. I think James Pierce Jr. would be a home run pick if he makes it there to 29. Some people think he might. Some people have him as like a top 10. The big boards right now, if y'all remember last year, like Jaden Daniels was in like the 20s. People seem to forget how much big boards and things really move around. After the Senior Bowl, there's a big shakeup. And then with the Combine, there's another big shakeup. And then you have your pro days, you have your local visits, your top 30 visits, your sit downs with players, and it shakes up a lot. And then you start to have like people that are, getting talked about a lot. It just shifts things around so much. So James Pierce could go in the top 15 or he could go at the end of the first. It's just, there's going to be a lot of movement coming up, but I've seen a couple like mock drafts. I forgot who it was. Someone had us getting James Pierce Jr. and was it Daniel Jeremiah? I can't remember. I've seen so many mock drafts lately. And then Trey Harris, which I would love. But I mean, I think he's great. But my thing is, I think I give it about a 60% chance that Washington would be drafting an edge at 29 anyways. So you might as well trade 29, a first next year and a third next year, and get Myles Garrett. I think you don't have to pay him this year. I think he'd make like 19 mil or something like that. And then after this year, he has 1 year left. That's when I would restructure his contract and do like a 3-year deal, something like that. But for me, I think there's I give it about a 60% chance that Washington drafts an edge rusher at 29 right now, anyways, because of the talent that's going to be there. It's going to be ridiculous. There's so many edge and D tackles in this draft I really like. But if you're going to take an edge anyways at 29, get rid of that pick from Myles Garrett. Get the best of the best between him and Watt. Like I don't think there's anyone better in the league. I mean, he was one of the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year if y'all was watching Honors last night. And the dude is just as consistent as it gets, but he's elite at everything. He's elite at stopping the run. He's elite at getting to the quarterback. Just a game changer, in my opinion. He's worth 2 firsts and a third. This isn't some Albert. I've had people tell me, oh, this has Albert Haynesworth all over it. This is not even close to the same person. Not even close. Like Myles Garrett doesn't have conditioning problems and all this other mess where Albert Haynesworth wasn't even on the field for third downs. Like this is a completely different thing. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to get somebody like Myles Garrett. I think you have to do it. Red Wings 01 said, yeah, Garrett is gone. The writing is on the wall. The Browns need to make some big changes. Yes, they do. Yeah, we got a lot of Titans up in here. Appreciate y'all. He wants to compete for something, and Cleveland just isn't in that position right now. And I don't know if y'all saw this too, but Denzel Ward said if Myles Garrett left, he said I would probably want one out too. He said if Myles Garrett's gone, I don't know if I'm staying either. But that's the thing that's crazy is they have to restructure Denzel Ward's contract anyways to get rid of Myles Garrett. So can you imagine them going to Denzel Ward and saying, hey, we're going to restructure your contract and we're going to get rid of our best player, by the way? He's not going to go for that. So they are in a really bad situation. But honestly, the Browns need to load up on picks. I think they should take Abdul Carter if he's there. Replace Myles Garrett with who I think is going to be a generational pass rusher in Abdul Carter. But then either go get a free agent quarterback for like a year and draft one next year because you're loading up on all this ammo. You're probably not going to be good at next year anyways. Like, I don't think Watson's going to even be able to play next year because of that Achilles. But just get somebody like cheap and then roll with it for a year. I hate to say waste a year, but if you're the Browns, that's probably what you have to do. But do right by your best player in a very, very, very long time. Do right by him, just like you would with like Chubb. As highly as you think of Nick Chubb, and like if he wanted out, like as much as he's been through with his injuries and stuff, do right by your players. Like you made one of the biggest mistakes, the worst contract in sports history. I don't even want to say football history, like sports history with Deshaun Watson. People are mocking you. People are saying like you're not a serious franchise. You paid all that money to a weirdo that a lot of people believe shouldn't even be in the league right now. You gave him one of the biggest guaranteed contracts ever. And look what you got out of it. Absolutely nothing. So people think so low of you right now. The worst thing you could do is hold your best player, someone who's done so much for your franchise, hold him hostage. Why would you do that? If you want to, at least recover your franchise, like the brand a little bit, do right by Myles Garrett. Start fresh. Like just start over. Take care of your own. If he wants out, he wants out. If we go after Garrett, what do you think they do at wide receiver if they get Garrett? I think there's some free agents there that I do like. I'm gonna do a lot of it. Like as y'all know, I'm doing videos pretty much every day now. But as soon like Monday, like I said, I'll do a mock draft, and I have a Bleacher Report video I have to do Monday as well. But then like maybe Tuesday, I'll do a wide receiver free agent list of like all the guys I'm looking for. This is what it sounds like. Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, D-Hop, Mike Williams, Robert Woods, Marquise Brown, Hollywood, Darius Slayton, KJ Osborne, Demarcus Robinson, Nelson Aguilar, then some small guys that I just really don't care about. Nick Westbrook-Akine, I like him. Trent Sherfield, a little bit. Tutu Atwell, whatever. And then just like a lot of our own guys, De'Ami Brown, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder, Noah Brown, Tyler Johnson, maybe. Tim Patrick, maybe. I mean, doesn't really excite me. So it is kind of top heavy, and I feel like there's some like value guys in the middle that are kind of getting talked about, but not a lot. More so like Nick Westbrook-Akine, who's like a touchdown machine this year. I think he could get some money. Maybe Tyler Boyd, Matt Collins, maybe. Like these are all guys that are free agents. Darius Slayton's probably one of my favorites, like talking about not getting T. Higgins. And I'll talk about T. Higgins too. But the same with Chris Godwin, if he's good to go. Brandon Cooks, maybe. I think a Hollywood Brown reunion with Cliff Kingsbury would be good. I felt like Hollywood was older. He's only 27, almost 30. I mean, not 30, almost 28. I thought he was closer to like 30. I thought he's been in the league for a while. But like Keenan Allen, whatever. Amari Cooper, I would. Stephon Diggs, I don't know. I just don't think he really fits like the locker room. I hate to say it, but he's a weird dude. But there's definitely some guys in free agency, but I think you draft a guy too. Like my guy Kyle Williams, drafting him. I wish we had a 4th round pick because like right now I think he goes like early 4th. Maybe you'd have to take Kyle Williams at 79. I don't know if he would be there at 148 in the 5th. Maybe he is though. But with such a bad like wide receiver draft, I think there are some good gems like in the second, third, fourth, maybe fifth round that I think you're just going to have to hit on somebody, though. But there are some that I like. What's going on, Radar? Appreciate you coming in here. Either way, with or without Garrett, Marion Hampton, or and Zabel are obvious picks. I love Marion Hampton, and I love Zabel. I think he's one of the more guaranteed offensive linemen in this draft. Like, he can play anywhere. If Garrett only costs 2 firsts and a third, I'd really consider that. I definitely would, for sure. Whatever it takes to get Miles, make it happen. Miles Garrett doesn't grow on trees. Definitely doesn't. He's shaped like a tree. It's like hitting a tree, but this year first, next year first, and third is still a bargain. Like, I think so, but people are like, oh, it'll be like a first and a third and a fifth. I'm like, I think y'all are kind of undervaluing this trade. I just don't see it happening. So, have you run a mock draft to put into perspective who you are trading 4 years each of the 2 years of Garrett? I haven't yet. So, like I said, Monday will be my first mock draft of the all season, and I'll do I'll do a Myles Garrett mock draft. So, would you draft or would you trade Pierce and Harris for Garrett? Yes, because I mean, you can say this for anyone in the draft. Pierce and Harris are like not guarantees. Myles Garrett, you know what you're getting. Like, he's a guarantee. He's as guaranteed as it gets. Like, knock on wood, barring any kind of crazy injury, people in the draft are not guaranteed. And like I said, this isn't a good draft at all. Like, people have said for all season, like, this is a pretty like low draft. Not saying there's not good players out there. Not saying you can't get franchise guys in the middle rounds and stuff like that. It's obviously all about fit. Every position, in my opinion, is about fit. But just compared to like last year's draft and then in the year before that, and then next year in 2027, which is, very likely going to be one of the best drafts ever, like first round talent all over the place. Like, this draft, it's just, I'd say it's like a C+. So would I trade Pierce and Harris for Garrett? And I like both of those guys, especially Trey Harris. I love Trey Harris. But would I trade both of them for Myles Garrett, knowing he would be here for however long? Absolutely. Would rather go after Hendrickson. Probably won't cost a first. We would keep our picks and keep building. The only thing we have to worry about is if they tag him. So that's the thing about the Bengals. And like I said, I'm going to get into a Bengals, I guess, rant here in a minute. Like, catch up on a couple, and we'll talk about Hendrickson. We'll talk about T. Higgins because there was a lot said by Joe Burrow, by the way. I see more and more mock drafts having us go for the UNC running back on Marion Hampton. Dude's a beast. Like, I would not be mad at it. If they said, hey, guys, we're going to get a Jahmyr Gibbs type running back in the first, I'd be like, hey, pick 29. That's fine with me. If I know, like, that's what our running game is going to look like last year or next year compared to the non-existent run game we had, like, sign me up. I would take that in a heartbeat. Myles Garrett will cost too much draft capital. Definitely we got to see. Shopper Charles, appreciate you coming through. Smash that like button. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe up if you haven't already. What do you think about Hollywood Brown, Tutu Atwell, or Rondale Moore as their tier 2 options? Hollywood Brown, cool. Rondale Moore, not really. Tutu Atwell, super small. I'd probably go Hollywood Brown first. I think Darius Slayton's definitely my like top like tier 2 target. Like I said, I would not mind Amari Cooper. I think Chris Godwin's high on the list. And outside of that, there's just nothing really that excites me. Demarcus Robinson showed a lot of flashes with the Rams too. Rams got some free agents, and they're trading Cooper Kupp. But yeah, I think Chris Godwin and Darius Slayton are probably my top 2 targets. Because like I said, we'll talk about T. Give Ertz 6 or 7, give Bobby 7 or 8, give Chin 7 or 8, give Dante 5 or 6. I think Dante's gone. Give Noah 4 or 5 and give Khalil 3 and call it a day in the house. Free agents about to get 45 out of 55. Love to bring in more upgrades. I don't hate it. I think Dante goes. They just need somebody that can set the edge better. He was good at like pass rushing, but I just don't. Everyone, like, it's not a secret at all. Like, once again, people know we're gonna draft an edge and we're gonna go get like a big name edge like Myles Garrett because we need to upgrade that position. I just don't think Dante Fowler would want to stay here as a rotational guy. And I don't know if I'm paying him that much. Like, he had a really good season. I think he can go somewhere and ball out like as an exterior pass rusher. I just don't know if he would stay like as a rotational guy. Shamar Stewart will be a beast. That would be nice. Garrett is a Hall of Fame player if they don't become available at all. What's going on, Sharpshooters Podcast? What's going on, my guy? I really want Miles and Stewart, but Stewart not going to be there. Yeah, I don't see Stewart being there. I think he goes a little bit higher. Miles changes our defense instantly. He changes the whole team. Give up 3 first-round picks and Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. Ha ha ha. LOL. Hey, I would love Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett. It'd be a lot of money for both of them. But Denzel Ward is one of the top in the league. What about trading our first for Garrett Wilson? I just don't think he's going to be available. I think I'm putting him in the T. Higgins category. I don't think he's going to be available. With all the changes and stuff that happened, I don't see Rodgers coming back. I just don't see Garrett Wilson going anywhere. The Browns are cooked regardless. That's what they get doing business with Nasty Boy. Exactly. Do we add Ward or Reed as our corner 2, 1B? It would be Ward for me because Reed is a slot guy, and I think Mikey going back in the slot is definitely what they want. That's been the plan all along, but I would love Ward on the outside. Browns need to grab Winston, at least he can play, and add humor to losing. Hey, might as well. I would add Slayton from the Giants. Absolutely. We should trade for Chris Olave. I don't know, man. He had 2 really bad concussions this year. They were talking about him like retiring because of how bad it was. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, shout out to Chris Olave. He's a beast. What are the chances of Garrett Wilson being available? And if available, do you think we have the draft capital with Mile G? You don't have the draft capital to get both, in my opinion. No way. But I just don't think Garrett Wilson is available. And I think Miles is available. And he made that very well known. A lot will change if they trade for Myles Garrett. I think so, but it doesn't take you out of like being aggressive. I think you can still be aggressive. Savion Williams, TCU, crazy athlete. I know people hate TCU wide receivers, but this dude's a freak. He lines up literally everywhere. They ran Wildcat with him. Just an athletic monster for his size. He is nasty. Savion Williams is going to be a beast, absolutely. They trade for Miles. They probably would have to go budget at wide receiver. Mark Cooper would be a good wide receiver too. I think so. But like I said, I think they draft one too. Because we only have 2 wide receivers under contract next year, which is concerning. That's Terry and Luke McCaffrey. Everyone else is a free agent. I think they bring back 3. I think if De'Ami Brown's willing to come back like for a good price, but everyone's acting like De'Ami Brown is just like a certified like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 now. Y'all realize he only had 1 touchdown last year and he only had like 300 yards. It seemed like he had more, but he didn't. Like De'Ami Brown had like a very, very mid-season and then he just played really well in the playoffs. But can you get that consistently from him? He hasn't shown that at all. He has not shown that at all. Appreciate the super chat. I knew it was going to be about Taylor Heineke. Do you see Washington kicking the tires on Taylor Heineke backing up JD? Dude was a dog for Washington and probably could mentor JD on winning in Washington. TH4 honestly makes the whole team stronger. I mean, I'm sure he would be an option. If they lose Marcus Mariota, maybe. But I think Jaden Daniels clearly knows how to win in Washington, though. I don't think that's a problem. People would love to see him back. I mean, I don't care if he came back or not, but I mean, sure. If he's a free agent and we lose Marcus Mariota and teams are interested in Marcus Mariota, then sure. Higgins and Godwin are the big fish. If not them, I'd kick the tires on Hollywood. Cooper, I think D-Hop has a little more left in the tank than people would give him credit for. Diggs would be risky. So I feel like if the Chiefs win a Super Bowl, does D-Hop leave or does he stay? And if they lose, I feel like he definitely would stay. I think Godwin is the most likely. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't mind Coop at all. I love Coop. But then Hollywood, just knowing Cliff, knowing his offense, you might as well bring him in because he would just hit the ground running. Matt, what's going on? LT in the first. So like I said, I think I'm at 60% edge right now. And I'm at 20% tackle and 20% corner. Just really depends what happens with free agency. But I'm not rolling out a left tackle in the first. I think there's going to be a lot of movement on the line, especially with Cosmi likely out for majority of the season, if not the whole season. I think so many people are forgetting that. We were winning. We're in the NFC Championship game. I made a video on Sam Cosmi, and no one was talking about that. Like, people are like, oh, we should beef up the line. Like, we need a, starting left tackle. We need to upgrade at right tackle. a lot of people have forgotten that Sam Cosmi might not play a snap next season. So that's one of my next videos I'm going to do too. Like as soon as he got hurt, I planned out a video for free agent guards that I like to plug in at that spot. So like I said, y'all, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I'm dropping a video every single day. Monday, I'm going to have 2 videos. So I might even have to double dip because there's a lot to get to. And the trades, people have been asking me about trade dates too. So I'll say this real quick. You can make a trade right now. You can, agree to terms right now, but nothing becomes official until the new league year, which is March 12th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So this breaking news could come out anytime. The Browns have agreed to trade Myles Garrett to the Washington Commanders for 2 firsts and a third, barring a physical, blah, 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 all the business talk. It's not official until the 12th of March, though. So just remember that. It can come out at any time. Like, y'all remember like the Alex Smith trade and stuff like that? Like that happened around the Super Bowl. But just remember, like it could happen it could happen tonight. Will it? Probably not. But I'm just saying, in March 10th is when the deals for free agency starts. So free agency frenzy starts March 10th. I might just go live the entire day, the 10th and the 11th, and maybe the 12th too. Because if y'all remember how crazy that is, the 10th, 11th, and 12th is the main things. The 12th is when everything gets finalized, but all these free agent leaks and like all the signings and your phone blowing up, that's the 10th and the 11th this year. And one more thing I'll say before I get to more comments, and we'll go on our Bengals rant here in a second. The salary cap. That's something else people have been asking me about, like Josh. And if you've been watching, if you've been paying attention, I've brought it up on my last few streams. Let me just pull this up real quick so y'all can see it. I'll share my screen. And I want to bring up not really a date, but a timeline to keep in mind as well. I just updated my Mac and all these things are popping up. My apologies. So let's see what we got here. So salary cap. Everyone's like, Josh, we have $100 million to spend. No, we don't. As of right now, we sure don't. That was like months ago. So we're still 3rd in the NFL right now when it comes to salary cap. So you see salary cap or cap space right here, $78 million. You're like, what's effective cap space? 68.8. So that is after player bonuses come out in March. And that is more than likely like estimated what you have to pay your rookie class that you draft. So actually it says it right here. The cap space the team will have after signing at least 51 players and its projected rookie class to its roster. So the guys we will draft in April. But if y'all remember last year, the salary cap went up at the end of February. So we'll find out. There's no like exact date. It's not like, oh, there's a deadline for this. Obviously before free agency. But last year was one of the last days of February. I want to say it was like the 26th or 27th or 28th. It was one of those like 3 days. So expect that at the end of the month to come out. Maybe the salary cap goes up again. The last few years, it's gone up higher than what teams expected it to be. And when you're sitting at 3rd in the NFL and you have 68.8 mil of effective cap space, if it goes up a lot, you're really benefiting from that. Of course, these teams down here are like, please let it go up a lot because we're in the red, we're in the negatives. Like the Browns are, God, they're so bad. Same with the Saints. Seahawks are already restructuring money from Williams and doing all kinds of things. These teams are begging for it just because they can get above water. But teams like Washington, teams like the Raiders, the Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers, those are the teams like, hey, if it goes up, we got more spending money. We can restructure or extend Terry McLaurin for a 3-year contract, which I think happens this offseason. So just remember that. That's like the important days to remember, like the timeline of what's happening next. So just kind of want to get y'all caught up. Didn't mean to like ignore chats or anything like that, but I think that's really important to know. Higgins won't be available. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be available. Godwin been hurt with major injuries. Definitely want to see what he looks like. Hampton isn't Gibbs. I'm just saying, Hampton's a beast. Hampton's a stud. Like his tape, in my opinion, like I know Ashton Genty was like legendary this season, but Omarion Hampton was insane. Godwin definitely. Darius Slayton is mid. I think he's consistent though, especially with that quarterback play. Dylan said Payne and Allen had down years by most standards, but a D line of Garrett, Payne, Allen, and Khalil Mack would be the greatest D line of all time. I would go nuts if we trade for Myles Garrett and then tell him, hey, give us one off season. We're going to sign Khalil Mack on the other side for a 1-year deal. I mean, that's as good. Like, that is my dream. And Khalil Mack is like my backup option if Myles Garrett doesn't come here. You do everything possible to tell Khalil Mack to come here. I think he would love to. Give him a pretty good 1-year contract. And maybe he comes back another year. Maybe it's like a Bobby Wagner kind of situation. But he had one of his best seasons last year. People are like, oh, Josh, Khalil Mack is washed. He's old. You were not watching him last year then. He had one of his best years last year. Like, the dude was nuts. The last 2 years. 3 years ago, he had like a down season, and then the last 2 years, he's balled out. Ooh, Byron Murphy or Travarius Ward. I would love Ward, especially Adam Peters, like with his situation, like crazy, just terrible situation. But I think having him with a familiar face with Adam Peters would be great. And I'm a big Ward fan. I like Byron Murphy too. But I probably would lean Ward right now. Fowler will get paid. He will have to take a pay cut if he wants to stay. And that's what I agree with. But I just don't think his style fits what they want to do next season with the changes. They took both Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong, who were rotational guys in Dallas, and said, we're going to put them on the line as like pretty much 3-down guys. And I know they rotated Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Clelin Ferrell got some snaps and stuff like that. But for the most part, like Dorrance Armstrong was rotating in for Micah Parsons, and Fowler was rotating in for Lawrence in Dallas. So it just, in my opinion, they want someone that they can really put down for 3 downs and say, if it's run or if it's a pass, we know he's going to make a big play. It's not like if it's a run, there's a big chance that D gap is going to be wide open. And that's what happened with Fowler. Like, I know he's a speed guy, but when he's getting tossed out the club by big left tackles or like pulls or something like that on runs to the outside, like we were getting crushed on the outside. I mean, absolutely crushed on the outside. So I just don't think he fits what they want to do next year. Not saying he's a bad player. He had a really good season. He had a really good season getting to the quarterback. When it came to stopping the run, he could not do it. And I think a team's going to pay him a pretty good price to play in more of like a 4-3, where he's more so that outside linebacker guy. And he's just pretty much strictly running to the quarterback in those situations. How would you feel about Simone Revel getting drafted here? Big fan. I'm a big Revel fan. I'm going to try to get him on the channel, like interview him. We follow each other, and he got an invite to the Shrine Bowl. I don't think he went just because he's still hurt. Like, he's doing interviews and stuff, but I know he should be at the combine, but I don't know how ready he is, like workout and stuff. I'm at least try to get him on here later on, like after free agency and all that, just to check in, like see how he's doing a rehab. But I would love him here. Dude had the best corner tape, like out of everybody before he got hurt. I mean, like better than Will Johnson. Like, this dude had elite corner tape. When he got hurt, like my heart literally broke. Like, I fell to my knees at the gym. T. Higgins is not worth $30 million a year. If he plays a lot, then sure. If the salary cap goes up a lot, then sure. But is he even available? Nah, I don't think he is at all. Stanley and free agency and draft Zabel. That would be nasty. Because Zabel can play anywhere. You could put him at right guard. You can put him at right tackle. You can put him at left tackle. You can put him at left guard. Like, man, like he literally plays everywhere. Like, he was so good at the Senior Bowl. I think he was the best offensive lineman there for the whole week. Like, I think he's a first round guy. Stanley, I think he would be down to come here for a year or two. I don't see Mike going back to the slot. I mean, he had a really good season outside, but for the most part, like, the teams made it vocal a couple times. Like, and John Keim said this like months ago. The plan has always been to put him in the slot where he can thrive, like getting that dominant outside corner and letting him just thrive in the slot. Like, you think he's really good now. Wait till he gets to where he belongs in the slot and just straight up kills people. I love it. Same team isn't going to be aggressive. Why not us? Hey, we got to be aggressive. This is offseason to do it. Appreciate you going on, man. Subscribe to Sharpshooters Podcast too while you're here. Do you think Noah Brown was more of an asset than Diami? Oh, man. I mean, Diami came up clutch with big plays. Obviously, Noah Brown did too. Moment of the year, by the way, with the Hail Mary. But when I think about just consistency and like reliability, I think Noah Brown was more of an asset than Diami. I mean, obviously, we didn't get to see him after he got hurt. Who knows what he would have looked like the rest of the season? Who knows what he would have done in the playoffs? Like I said, Diami was like the playoff, I don't want to say hero, but he came up really big in the playoffs. But outside of that, like what did he do in season? His one touchdown came against the Browns. That was it. Like, he had like 300 yards. Like, I was just blown away of how many people like, oh, Diami Brown's the future wide receiver too. I'm like, is he? What shows that? What shows that? For me, it's nothing. If that's your wide receiver too, then we're doing the same thing we did last year of just, having these mid guys around. This is the offseason to take charge and improve the wide receiver room. Yes, I know Jayden Daniels balled out with the guys that we had, but it's not a reason to just say, we can slide with Diami Brown at wide receiver 2 and bring back Alame Zaccheaus, and then we'll go get like a Slayton or somebody like that or Hollywood Brown, and that's it. I think they're going to be so aggressive with offensive line, defensive line. I don't want to say aggressive with corner, but they're going to obviously add a corner. But I think they're going to be so aggressive with wide receivers. Do not be surprised when this wide receiver room looks completely different next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they only bring back 2 of the 5 free agents. I would not be surprised. I think 3 max. There's no way you bring back 4. Unless they're going like the practice squad or something. In my opinion, there's just no way. Worth noting, Diami was cooking mostly backups in the playoffs. Yep. Sorry, brothers. No way. Our new regime brings Taylor Heinicke back. No way. Yeah, I don't see it. Did we sign an offensive lineman today? Not that I saw. I did not see anything. I know we signed a couple like future contracts. But it was like practice squad guys. Nothing like crazy. Could you see us signing Sheriff? Would be interesting. Being a stopgap. So yeah, he's one of my guys on my list. I could see him being a 1-year like right guard option. Unless you want him at left guard, you move Allegretti or you move Brandon Coleman into guard, which I could see Coleman going to guard. I don't think he had like the craziest bad season like everyone thinks he had, but for a 3rd round like offensive tackle who just, I don't want to say got thrown in there because they did rotate him and Lucas around for the first few weeks, but then it was just like he was out there on an island by himself against some really good players. I think he had an up and down season, but it wouldn't surprise me if he moved into guard. I think Cosmi will play, but probably will not be until November. It just depends on how bad the ACL is. Like, I know he just had his surgery right when the season ended. So for like an offensive lineman, like I know there's so many like advanced like surgeries and stuff right now, but like, man, somebody that size, I mean, you gotta think it's like 10 months. So maybe November, maybe December. But still, you got to be in a position to go to the playoffs. You can't just say, like, oh, wait till we get Cosmi back. Like, oh, I can't wait till Cosmi get back. Like, that right guard spot looks bad right now. That cannot be the case. You got to have somebody, like you mentioned, a Sheriff, me did. Like you mentioned a Sheriff. Like I said, I'll do a video. I have like 5 or 6 guys that I'm going to mention about being like a 1-year free agent. But if we're talking about building the offensive line with offensive tackles and right tackle, whatever, left tackle, you better be smacking the table for a right guard too. I just see so many people talking about let's draft the tackle. Let's, go get this guy maybe at tackle. No one's talking about right guard. So I'm just saying, y'all, do not forget Sam Cosmi's out for a long time. People are like, oh, he might be back before the season. Y'all have way too high hopes if you think Sam Cosmi's coming back before the season. I wish he would, but he's not Adrian Peterson. I would pray for it. Shop with Charles said, praying to see the notification about Miles coming to DC. I would love it. Have you looked at Nick Scorton film? Yes, I did, because I thought he was going to be at the Senior Bowl, and he backed out, but I did like 2 days of just straight up Nick Scorton film. I would love him at 29. While I can play right guard, Don't know if they'll play him there. He played there with the Chiefs. So that's good. Worth mentioning. They may still cut him, but he'd help there while we invest in some tackle spots. So that's the only thing I see people talk about, like cutting Wiley. Like, why? We already have a need. You're not saving much money if you cut him. Like, it's like $5 or $6 million. But then you're just making another need on the offensive line. I just think that would be a really bad decision. I just don't see the team doing that, especially with Cosmi out. I just don't see a reason of doing that and saying, oh, now we need another right tackle. And Cornelius Lucas is a free agent too. So are you re-signing him? Or are you getting somebody else as depth? Or is Trent Scott just elevated to, the tackle back up at left and right? So that's concerning. Slide Coleman to right tackle till Cosby's back. F.A. Stanley in free agency, or for left tackle, Drab Stable for any slot backup. Wouldn't hate it. What's up with Jordan McGee? Is he still on the roster? Yeah, he's still on the roster. He's a rookie. But he was just so injured last year. So that's someone that I have higher hopes for next season. But he just had a lot of injuries. Billy Mack was going on. Welcome to the channel. Radar said, what you think about Dre Greenlaw or Hufanga as options if we don't re-sign Bobby or Chin? So Bobby's got to come back. Bobby was at Josh Harris's press conference last Monday. So that tells me Bobby's not going anywhere. I think Bobby would play for free, honestly. I think he's got one more year in him. He's at Howard. I think he would be here for a year. I don't think you're paying him a crazy amount of money. If you're like, hey, Bobby, we're going to give you a, decent sized deal, but are you willing to take a cut? We're going to just build this team up. We're going to go get Myles Garrett, or we're going to go sign some free agents. We're going to get to the Super Bowl in your last year. He'd be like, absolutely. Bobby's just that kind of guy. And Chin. So yeah, I would bring back Chin. I do like Dre Greenlaw. I like Hufanga. I guess see what Dre Greenlaw looks like. He should be fine. Red Wing says, do you agree with Josh Allen winning the MVP, or did Lamar get snubbed? Personally, I'd have gone for Josh too. That's a tough one. I think honestly, I think both of them deserved it. I think Lamar had one of the better seasons for a quarterback. But then I'm looking at what Josh Allen had to do with what he had, Keon Coleman, they added Coop, Matt Collins, Khalil Shakir, a good running game, good offensive line. Defense wasn't the best. I think what Josh Allen did was more impressive to me, with what he had, but I think Lamar had the better season. So it depends on how you look at MVP. Is it the most valuable player on the team? Then I'm picking Josh Allen. Is it who had the best season in the league? Then I'm going Lamar. So did Lamar get snubbed? It depends on what you think of the MVP. But for me, it says most valuable player. I'm going Josh Allen because he had a crazy season. A lot of people thought he was going to drop off this year. The turnover is going to come back, blah, 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 blah. But Lamar had a crazy season too. So I think it just depends on what you think it is. Deion Walker should be available around 55. Ooh, I would love that. What pick do we have? We have 61. Pick 61 in the second. I think he would be there. By the way, he should be there. I would love that. Deion Walker is a mammoth of a dude. Just standing next to him, I was like, holy smokes, this guy is actually a real guy. Who are some of the mid-round guys you like on offense and defense? Oh, that's a loaded question. Obviously, Kyle Williams is one of my guys. Let me pull up PFF mock draft and just see who they have in the mid rounds, just to get an idea of some mid-round guys. I'm not logging in yet. All right, let's see. Start draft. I'm just going to look real quick. I'll know pretty quickly who I like and who I don't like. All right, mid-round. There's a lot of action going on here. I don't agree with a lot of these. So I like Elijah Arroyo, if you're talking about third round maybe. I like Josiah Stewart. I think he's a late second. Anthony Belton had a really good week. They have him at 85. They have Mason Taylor at 87. If Zach Ertz doesn't come back, he said he's not retiring, but still. Devin Neal at 89. That's really good. Trey Harris at 90. Jeez. They have Harold Fannin down to 91. Deion Walker at 92. I mean, good God, that range right there. Mason Taylor, Devin Neal, Trey Harris, Harold Fannin Jr., Deion Walker is ridiculous. They have Andrew Makuba as a third rounder. I would love Andrew Makuba in the third. Mello Dotson. Kobe Bryant, the corner from Kansas, is a Dan Quinn type of corner for sure. They have him at 103. Jordan Phillips, for the Maryland fans out there, D tackle. He's really good. Let me see who else I like. Noel Williams, corner from California, is a guy to get familiar with. They have him at 114. Willie Lampkin, the really, really short guard. They have him at 121. He had a crazy good week as well. Damian Martinez, that's my guy. Damian Martinez, they have him at 125, which would be in the fourth round. If we don't have a fourth round pick, but if Damian Martinez is there in the fourth, like I would trade up for him. I think Damian Martinez is one of the more underrated, like not even running backs, but just players in the draft. This is a very, 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 very deep running back draft class. People are going to slip. Someone's going to get one hell of a starting running back in the league in like the fourth round. And I think it would be Damian Martinez. I think he's an early fourth, late third in this draft because of all the running backs and everything. But man, he might be my running back 5. I'd probably go Genty, Hampton, Johnson, Travion Henderson, and then Damian Martinez. I'm not kidding. He is so good. Oh yeah, my guy Oluwafemi Oladejo from UCLA. They have him at 133. He's an edge rusher. And his old linebacker coach, not last year, but the year before that, was Ken Norton Jr., who was our current linebacker coach in Washington. So they have that connection. That dude is a beast athlete. I mean, if you're talking about a guy coming off the edge, he's a former linebacker. He made the transition like Abdul Carter did. Holy smokes. Ja'Cory Krosky-Marriott, the running back from Arizona, took a giant leap up. Holy smokes. He was the MVP of the Shrine Bowl. Really good, elusive running back. I've been in contact with him and his agent too. Just seeing like if Washington, he met with Washington at the Shrine Bowl. But I told him like, let me know if they have any other meetings and stuff like that. Pat Bryant, wide receiver out of Illinois. I've been high on him for a while. Let me give you a few more. They have Kyle Williams at 152. If we get Kyle Williams, we have pick 148 from the Saints. If we get Kyle Williams at 148, sign me up. Like y'all know that's my boy. CJ West, D tackle from Indiana. I like him too. Nick Nash, wide receiver from San Jose State, Triple Crown. Yes, I mean, there's some good guys. Dorian Strong, corner out of Tech. Emory Jones is down to 173. Yikes. This was a first-round guy before the season. Speaking of guys, like there's like 3 or 4 tackles in this draft that people are talking a lot about. They're going to get moved to guard. Emory Jones, the dude Milam from West Virginia, he's probably going to be moved to guard. There's a lot of those in this draft. But yeah, those are some of my mid-rounders. I want Higgins, but he can't be making more than Terry. Yeah. Maxwell Harrison out of Kentucky. Love him. Once again, big-time Dan Quinn guy. He would fit perfectly. With T likely staying, what would be a good combo, Miles with Garrett Wilson or Crosby with Garrett Wilson? I'd go Miles, Garrett Wilson, but I just do not see Garrett Wilson being available. What's your timeline on a Garrett trade? It'd probably be end of the month or very, very beginning of March. They're probably both the Browns and other teams should wait to hear about the new salary cap. Yeah, I mean, you might as well wait to see what it looks like before you make that big of a trade. So in my opinion, it's going to be end of the month or it's going to be beginning of March, unfortunately. Jami's not coming back. Watch. I don't think so. Who would you get as a wide receiver 2? Man. In free agency, I guess Godwin. Or you trade for Cooper Kupp if you can get him really cheap and they eat a lot of his money, then I'm down with that, honestly. Which D tackle do we trade and for who? I don't think we trade any. If y'all watch my Senior Bowl video, I talked to NFL Insider at the Senior Bowl and asked, like, just vibe-wise, like, do you think Payne or Allen would get traded? And he's like, I'd be shocked if either do. It doesn't make sense financially either. Like, if anything, it would be Payne not Payne, John Allen this year But they love John Allen. They're super high on John Allen. If anything happens, it would be Payne next year. You're out of that contract. If you could get anybody as a wide receiver too, yeah, like I said, it would be Godwin or Cup if he's super cheap. But outside of that, maybe Amari Cooper. Stephon Diggs, I just don't see it. I wouldn't mind Noah Brown if they can get a wide receiver too. Noah was a beast in the run game. Yeah, he's a really good blocker too. They should bring back at least one of Diami, Noah, and OZ just to maintain some continuity. Yeah, I mean, I think you bring back OZ and you bring back Noah on a cheap deal. Sorry, Crowder. Sorry, Diami. Sorry, KJ Osborne, who didn't play. Trade out of 29 and 79 and rack up unless top 15 player drops to 29, which I don't see happening. But I'm not against trading back either. I think trading back is definitely something that could be there. Just trying to see if anything happened. What are the odds we pick up? Or we can pick up Judkins in the draft, fave running back, but I just don't see us having the chance to grab him. I think he's going to be a third round guy. Like, he had a really good playoffs, but Trayvon Henderson's way better than he is. I think Judkins has to go to the right team, and I don't think Washington would be that team. I think Trayvon is the best fit for Washington, or even Samson out of Tennessee. Let me bring up my running backs. Damian Martinez, who I mentioned. Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal would be great in our offense. And if you go late, maybe like Tutton from Tech, maybe Jordan James from Oregon. But for me, if I'm going running back, Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson, Ryan Hampton would be nice too. I just don't see him being there. Like I said, Trayvon Henderson, Devin Neal, Damian Martinez. That's like my crop of guys. Move Nick to right guard because to left guard, sign a left tackle. Oh, guard BC, Brandon Coleman to left guard, sign a left tackle. There's definitely some good free agents at left tackle and right tackle. I wanted to draft Ricky White from UNLV. He's nasty too. I do like him as well. He's definitely a guy I'm keeping an eye on. Darius Alexander's stock went insane. Where's he even at on PFF now? Let me see. It's probably like second round. They have him at 64. That's crazy. He was one of my favorite players, not even D tackle, but just like overall players. He was one of my favorites. Oh my gosh, that dude was crazy. But getting him in the second, that's what I'm trying to tell people too. I don't see John Allen and Daron Payne getting traded because the team's going to have to pay a lot of money and the draft capital has to make sense. And this is a really, really, really good D tackle class. So why would you trade a premium pick on these aging D tackles that cost a lot of money when you could go draft one? Kenneth Grant. You have Walter Nolan. Mason Cram, who's going in the top 10. Then you got Tyleik Williams, TJ Sanders, Omar Norman Lott, Derek Harmon, Darius Alexander, Alfred Collins, who's a beast, Deion Walker, Jordan Phillips. Anais Peebles from Tech had one of the best weeks too, beast. Shamar Turner. So, I mean, I can name about 10 guys that I think could start year one for a lot of teams. I just don't see a team trading a premium pick. That would be enough for Washington to get off of John Allen and Daron Payne and then eat the money. And then a team would have to pay them as well and give it away. When it's a really good D tackle like draft, I would much, if I'm a team, I'm drafting Darius Alexander in the second round before I trade a second for Daron Payne or John Allen and pay them 20 mil, whatever it has to be, or a Deion Walker or an Alfred Collins or a Jordan Phillips in the third. Like, I'm doing that before I'm trading for either of those two. It's nothing against them. It's just business wise, it does not make sense. What's going on? Merle said sign Jalen Moore and Dylan Raduns, move Wiley to guard with Coleman. I like that. Not against it. Like I said, I'll be doing my offensive line videos coming out soon. I'm going to be hitting free agency so hard, y'all. Like, I have so many content videos planned out. Like, literally, like the next 3 weeks is planned out, unless something pops up, obviously. Let's see. Caleb Johnson reminds me of Arian Foster. Yeah, I can see that. I see it for sure. The one thing with Washington is they started out really gap heavy to start the season. And then about halfway, I guess maybe because of the injuries with, Austin Eckler getting his concussions and then also B-Rob getting like 3 leg injuries, they started to add in more zone runs as the season went on. So I want to see if I could ask Cliff anything, literally anything this offseason, I would ask him, are you going to run primarily gap or are you going to run primarily zone? Because I need to know to know what running back we have a better chance of drafting. I need to know what kind of offense you're going to be running in the run game. Because last season we had no idea. It was all over the place. And the running back play was really bad. So that doesn't help. Does Noah Brown come back? I think so. Try to see if they had any kind of market value on him. Noah Brown. Spot Track says 1.5 mil a year. Yeah, he's coming back. He's coming back. I'd sign him. 1.5 mil. I'd sign him to a 2-year deal. He's 29. He just turned 29 in January. I would do that all day. Now, I'm going to read these last 2 chats and I'm going to go on my little Bengals rant real quick. Let's go full Luka Doncic mode, trade JD, and picks away for Josh Allen and Mark Gilbert. That would never happen. Radar said, I really want to see Darius Alexander on this team, man. Him and Garrett. That'd be disgusting. I'm telling you, Darius Alexander is so good. There's literally a play last year where he was like lined up as D tackle. I want to say it was like 0 tech or 1 tech, and he dropped back into coverage and called an interception. Like just nuts. Crazy play. But real quick, let's go on the players Washington has on the O-line now and a gap. So what they have line-wise, like especially, well, with Cosmi's hurt though. But they were able to like pull, like Alec Reddy pulled a lot, Biotish pulled a lot, Cosmi was pulling too. Wiley was able to pull. Like you have linemen that can pull across. So I feel like gap would be best. It depends who fills in for Cosmi, because ideally you pull your guards, like Nick Allegretti and Cosmi, but I think they go gap. It's crazy. There are going to be some really good options at running back in interior D-line, UDFA. Yeah, there's going to be some crazy running backs that don't get drafted. You're like, what? Like if they're literally in any other draft, they go somewhere. Just to mention some running backs in D-line that could go undrafted. I think Jordan James gets drafted. Jaquindon Jackson from Arkansas. Jaquavius Marks from USC. Jaheim Sanders could go undrafted. Tonka Hemingway at D tackle. Howard Cross at D tackle. Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia. Donovan Edwards could go undrafted. People talking about moving him to wide receiver full time. That's nuts. The dude was just on the cover of College Football 25 and had like a really good season the year before that. But I could see Donovan Edwards literally going undrafted. That's nuts. I'd bet money he does go undrafted. But anyways, let's talk about the Bengals real quick, because I think this is important. There's a lot talked about the last 2 days. Especially with Joe Burrow being asked questions and then him pretty much coming out and saying, we need to bring everyone back. We need to sign T. Higgins. We need to sign, you got to pay Jamar Chase too. You got to make it happen. And then also went on to talk about Trey Hendrickson. And he just said, like, we need to make it happen. The salary cap's going to go up. He's like, we got a bunch of new TV deals. Like, we have the money to make it happen. I know the Bengals are a very, very cheap organization. They always have been. But when your star quarterback is coming out, and he said it wasn't just like a one-time thing. He said it like all day. Every show he was on, people would talk about it. And he even said, I will restructure my contract if it means bringing back T. Higgins. If it means that we can pay Jamar Chase and we can get Trey Hendrickson back. So I think Joe Burrow would do what it takes. Will the Bengals organization do like what it takes? But I tweeted this out yesterday. Just it seems like the more we get closer to free agency, I don't think T. Higgins is going to be available. If anything, and this would be a big mistake, they're going to tag one of Hendrickson. I think they would tag T. Higgins, honestly, which, like I said, would be a terrible mistake because he would be pissed. Hell, maybe they tag and trade him. Who knows? But as we get closer to free agency, especially after yesterday, it just doesn't seem like T. Higgins is going to be available. And I think, and that's okay. You still do have, some good names out there, but at the same time, the market value, people are talking about T. Higgins. Spot Track says the market value is 25.5. I don't see that being the case. People are saying the floor is 30. The ceiling would be like 35 mil a year. That's nuts. That's a lot for a guy that does not play full seasons. I know he's only 26. I love him. I would love him here. Would AP and them say we're going to spend about half of our salary cap, depending on what it looks like after it goes up? Let's just say, we go into it with the salary cap we have, the 68.8 mil, whatever. Are you willing to give up almost half of that for T. Higgins? I don't know. I just don't know if Adam Peters is going to be willing to do that. Would I be like pissed if we did it? No, because I think T. Higgins is that good. But I think when Joe Burrow comes out and says, we need to make this happen, if you're the Bengals, you listen to every single word he said, and you find a way to make it happen. You pay Jamar Chase what he deserves. You re-sign T. Higgins because he's a free agent. And you get Trey Hendrickson back. Like that should be like the fact that you had like the leading passer, you had the Triple Crown winner, you had one of the best defensive players in the league, and you didn't even make it to the playoffs. You got to obviously build around your offense. Like your defense was so bad, but they have a lot of free agents too. Not only T. Higgins, BJ Hill, Mike Hilton, Trenton Brown, right tackle, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Marco Wilson, Mike Gesicki, Von Bell. I forgot they even had Von Bell. They got some really good depth guys. Cam Sample, Tanner Hudson, Joseph Asai, like Cody Ford. They've got some pretty noticeable free agents they got to bring back too. They have 23 free agents. But none of that matters if you lose T. Higgins, if you lose Trey Hendrickson. And then with not T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Let's look at his contract situation. You gotta start spending some money. He's pretty much in like the Justin Jefferson role, like when he got paid. So he's a free agent next year. So you got to go ahead and get him paid too. But knowing the Bengals, they're gonna roll. He's a cap hit of 21.8 mil next year, which is kind of wild. The field's still pretty low. They're probably going to go another season, then pay him the year after. But like, even if that's what you have to do to keep T. Higgins and keep Trey Hendrickson, then so be it. But I don't think I think Washington fans need to come off of the idea that T. Higgins will be available. Because I don't want to say we're wasting our time, but first off, Burrow's going to be pissed. Burrow's going to be livid. You're going to be pissing off your franchise quarterback coming off of his, best year of his career. Not a good thing to do. So like, of course, I'll talk about T. Higgins, like moving forward to free agency because anything's possible. Anything is possible. But I'm really going to focus on more of like, what about Stephon Diggs? What about Keenan Allen? What about Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, Darius Slayton, Hollywood Brown? What about those guys? Like, what's the real possibility? Y'all know me. I'm not some clickbaity, like, Washington very likely to sign T. Higgins or like T. Higgins will be that's not me. That's not me. That's not what I do. I look at things and say, what is the more likely, like, what is realistic? I'm a realistic guy. That's why I don't think they would sign a Stephon Diggs. I don't think Keenan Allen would really interest them. I think Amari Cooper would. I think Chris Godwin would. I think Brandon Cooks may be on a cheaper deal, depending what that would look like. I think Darius Slayton would be a good option. I think it would be a really solid option, honestly. I think Demarcus Robinson could be. I think Hollywood Brown could be. But I'm not the type to just put out some thumbnail. It's like T. Higgins will be a Commander. Let's be honest, guys. I don't think it happens. I don't think it happens. Am I still high on Ben? Absolutely. I think he takes a big step up. Tight end's one of those positions where it usually takes a year or two for you to break out, unless you're like Brock Bowers. But I think Ben will have a big role next year. I think they do re-sign Zach Ertz to a 1-year deal because Zach Ertz said he's not retiring. And same with Bobby. And Bobby was at Josh Harris's press conference, like I mentioned last Monday. So, Random said I like Dylan Sampson a lot out of Tennessee. I like him a lot too. I think he would fit great. Tyler said Bengals defense was so bad last year. If they don't spin on D, they're cooked. And the main thing is getting Trey Hendrickson back. Like, that's the start. But they definitely need to get some free agents. Honestly, every single pick of the draft for them should be a defensive player. And this is the way to do it. Like, they pick 17. PFF has them getting Walter Nolan. I mean, yeah, they need an edge, or they need a D-line or an interior D guy. Or corner, something. Like, they need to draft defensive players. As what Burrow even said too. Burrow said, we need the guy, like, we need help, and the guys that come in need to contribute right away. Like, he knows. He knows. Raider said that it was a pick 6. Oh yeah, for Darius. Yeah, it was nice. It was crazy. Just freak athlete. Absolutely freak athlete. I think T stays and takes a team-friendly deal. See, that's the thing, though. I don't think he takes a team-friendly deal. I think it will cost Cincinnati. And the thing is, he fired his agent, and he now has the same agent as Jamar Chase. So I think that's where things could get really dicey. Because if you're his agent, all you care about is that money sign. But also, he wants Jamar Chase to get paid too. So that's a really fine line. You start mixing, business, and you could really screw over the Bengals. Because if they offer T something like, hey, we got to pay Jamar Chase too. Like, we already agreed to pay Jamar Chase a lot of money with the agent, who's your agent now, by the way. We kind of just have to underball you on this. And then there's a team like the Patriots who have so much money. They have 120 mil, which is ridiculous. Or the Raiders who have 92 mil. Or the Cardinals who have 71 mil. If a team like that says, I know people said the Panthers. Panthers don't have a lot of money either. They could probably still get T. Higgins, but dang, they only got 20 mil. But say the Patriots say, T. Higgins, we will give you one of the biggest contracts in the NFL because you're in your prime. Would he want to go to the Patriots? I don't know. I mean, he got Drake May. I think Drake May is going to be good. But, like, still, it doesn't entice me. But as his agent, I'm like, you take that money, bro. That's all we care about. We care about that money sign. Would the Bengals actually offer T. Higgins? They can't even sniff the check that the Patriots could write. I think the Patriots could write a $35 million a year check, and it's just like buying a cup of coffee when they've got 120 million, and it could go up even more. Say it's 120, say it's 130 mil. Bro, I would, if I'm the Patriots, I'm offering him 35 mil a year. I don't care if his hamstring takes a little while to get healthy. But the Bengals, I think they have to offer him something friendly. It's going to be up to T. Higgins and his agent. T. Higgins has to say, do I want to stay with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, or do I want to go somewhere and be a bona fide wide receiver 1 like New England? But he's still young, so maybe the Patriots can turn it around the next few years. Who knows? I mean, hell, we did it in one season. But for me, it's going to be up to T. It's going to be up to T. And if it's me, I'm coming back with Joe Burrow. You have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl. But do you want more money? We'll see. Eckler will be back. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, he signed a 3-year deal with us. In the offseason, I think he'll get healthy. I think he'll be fine. Same with B-Rob. B-Rob's going to be back. So I can see B-Rob and Eckler being like running back 2 and 3, and then we just go draft our running back 1. T not taking a team-friendly deal in his prime. LOL. Yeah, I mean, that's a really tough ask. Like, T, right now you could seriously go get the biggest check of your life, but we kind of want you to not do that and stay here and win a Super Bowl with us. What do you think? But I think Joe Burrow, when he said that he would restructure his deal to make it happen, I think that's the biggest thing for me. I think he's willing to take a chunk out of it because he wants him to stay there. Elijah Moore for depth doesn't really excite me. It's not like I hate Elijah Moore, but it just doesn't like move the needle for me. But if he's like a depth piece, like a wide receiver, I don't know, 4, maybe 5. Depends what we do. But it just doesn't really move the needle too much for me. Marcel said, can Marshall's DN Mike Green last till Washington's pick 29? So that is a great question because he had obviously a crazy week at the Senior Bowl. And he left after day 2. He was like, I'm done. I did what I was supposed to do. But there were some like rumblings and rumors of like an off the field issue with him that kind of surprised me. I like Mike Green, the Virginia dude. But they still have him as like a top 15 pick, like a lock. I don't know what the off the field issue thing was, but there's a lot of people that talked about it. Somebody tweeted about it. Who was it? Somebody said like on the field is not going to be a problem, but like he's got something off the field he's got to worry about. I don't know. I don't know if teams like ask him about it, if teams like know about it or what, but I have no idea what it is, to be honest with you. But I don't see Mike Green at 29. Like I think it would have to be like the off the field thing would have to be pretty big, and it would have to come out for him to drop 29 because that guy had the number 1 overall week at the Senior Bowl. Like he dipped after day 2. How do you feel about signing Stephon Diggs? I feel like that'd be like one of like I don't want to say like last resort, but unfortunately, I think it would be a last resort. One, I don't know how he fits the locker room like culturally. Like, would he even like want to play alongside like Taylor? I feel like Stephon Diggs wants to be a bona fide one, but I mean, he had Nico Collins too. Even though he did like Stephon Diggs was hurt and out most of the season. I don't know. I'm on the fence with Stephon Diggs. He's 31. It was a bad injury. What are you going to get out of him? They have his market value at almost $14 million a year. I just don't know what he's going to look like. And I don't know if I'm paying him $14 million. I don't know. Before Stephon Diggs, I would go Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton's honestly one of my top free agent like wish list guys for wide receiver. What's his market value? 15.9 mil. Like honestly, I would pay 16 mil for Darius Slayton. I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad for real. Let me see. I'm trying to see if anything tweet wise popped up. Didn't really see anything. Nothing crazy happening at the Super Bowl today. So that's refreshing. But yeah, this is just a weird wide receiver free agency. Someone's gonna overpay for somebody. Is Ariante Ursary worth the first round pick? Locked up Abdul and Mike Green. So I like Ariante Ursary. That was one of the guys I talked to a lot at the Senior Bowl. Some people do have him coming to us at 29. I think 29 might be a little steep. Like Gray Zabel might be there. I'd much rather have Gray Zabel. Let me see where PFF has him at 51. So maybe if we trade back to like the beginning of the beginning of the second round, if we traded back, honestly, one of my favorite fits, and I'm gonna talk about this guy a lot. Josh Simmons from Ohio State. Left tackle got hurt this season, but one of the better athletes, one of the better offensive tackles in the class. I think Josh Connerly Jr., Donovan Jackson, who could play tackle, and he played a lot. He played left guard, but then he had to go out to left tackle when Simmons got hurt. One of the best offensive linemen all year, honestly. I think Josh Connerly would be a pick at 29. They currently have him ranked at 29 on PFF's big board. Gray Zabel's right there at 28. I just think, I don't know. I think 29 would be a little too high. He is really strong. He's, a really good athlete. The thing that he's going to struggle with, because he is so big, is like those speed guys on the outside, like rushing past him. He was 6'6", 330. That's crazy. Like I said, he's huge. But when he gets hands on you, like, you're screwed. But the only time I really saw him struggle was when edge rushers like would line up at the 9-10, like the 9-tech, like really wide, and like weren't really in a stance. Kind of like how Mike Green, like you see him just kind of like standing up, and would just speed out to the outside of him where he couldn't really get back fast enough just because of how big he is. But outside of that, like I said, he was, God, like I said, if he puts hands on you, you're screwed. You're not doing much. But I do like Ariante Ursary. I'm gonna try to keep in contact with his agent, just to see what Washington's like doing, leading up to the draft. Higgins at 35 mil steep, could probably get Godwin and Slayton for that price. What do they have? Let me see what I haven't even checked Godwin. So they have Godwin at 22.5 mil. Ooh. So 22.5 for Godwin. And Slayton at 16. So it's not too far off for both of them. I don't think Washington would invest that much. I think they would pick one of the two. And like I said, honestly, I would not mind Darius Slayton at all. I think 16 mil for him. He's really consistent. Like I think people are kind of sleeping on, like how consistent he's actually been for the last few seasons now, especially being stuck in New York with that quarterback play. And then even this year with, Neighbors doing what he did, he actually had a, pretty good season still. I think AP is going to wait until guys start getting cut to sign free agents. Yeah, so I think, we have so many free agents though. I think, we'll start signing a lot of our own, like around that same, like 10th, 11th, 12th of March. But I don't know. I still think they're obviously not going to sign as many free agents as they did last year just because they had to revamp the entire roster. But I think they are still going to sign a good bit of free agents. I highly recommend y'all go watch my free agent video that I did after this, because, even guys that aren't free agents, like Percy Butler, I don't see him coming back. But then guys that are free agents like Ben St. Juste, Michael Davis, I don't see them coming back. So I think they'll lose like 2 or 3 guys that are going to just get paid more, like a Fowler. But then I think there's guys that they wanted to get rid of last year, but they really couldn't because they just needed bodies. And I think Ben St. Juste is one of them. Same with Percy Butler. I think they just needed bodies to fill out the roster. I think those are guys that wouldn't come back next year. So go watch that video when I get done here. I'm going to wrap this up here soon. Anyways, I'm going to get to all y'all's chats and everything, though. I think Godwin and Amari Cooper would be good fits here. Keenan Allen is another free agent I haven't considered much. Do you think it's a possibility? I don't know. I just watching the Bears, like, I didn't watch them a ton, but like from what I saw, I just didn't seem like Keenan Allen was the same Keenan Allen. It was just like, you kind of have to go at some point, like you got to go younger. And Slayton's only 28. Godwin's 29. Deontay Johnson, I just don't see that being an option with all the weird stuff he had going on. But I'm saying like D-Hop, he's going to be 33. Stephon Diggs is 31. Keenan Allen's going to be 33. Robert Woods is going to be 33. Like at some point, you just got to try to get younger. Who else? Tyler Boyd's 30. God, I feel like it's been there that long. Nick Westbrook and Keenan. I mentioned him like really quickly. He's going to be 28. I think he's a guy that, like I said, touchdown machine last year, scored on us. They have his market value at 3.9 mil. Yes, pay him 5 mil a year. Go get Nick Westbrook-Akine and Darius Slayton and draft a guy, draft Kyle Williams, and I'm ecstatic with that wide receiver room. Darius Slayton, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Kyle Williams. You have a lot of speed. You got guys that can go deep. You got guys that can eat it up underneath. With Terry, say bring back Noah Brown and Alameda Zacchaeus. Yo, that's very affordable. That is very affordable. Slayton at 16 and Nick Westbrook-Akine, like I said, they have it. I think it's kind of cheap. Give them 5 mil a year. Hell, I don't care. Yeah, I'm doing that. That's a really good wide receiver room. I don't mind that at all. That's like my dream wide receiver room. We're not like going crazy. You extend Terry for a 3-year deal. I don't want Diggs. Very telling how well Josh played this year and what Diggs is. I mean, yeah, he was out most of the year, but still. Diggs is a huge no. Which of Terps likely to be drafted here? Wide receiver Ty Felton, Jordan Phillips, or Dante Schrader Jr. I like Ty Felton. He had that touchdown in the Senior Bowl. Didn't have like the craziest week. Like he was pretty quiet. But I do like Ty Felton. Jordan Phillips, like I said, he's been a name that's kind of gone up. Where'd they have him ranked again? I could see them getting like a D tackle in like the later rounds. They have Jordan Phillips at 105, so that'd be the 4th round, but we don't have a 4th round pick. I don't think would he make it to 148? I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if they decided to trade back from 29, and like I said, go to the beginning of the 2nd, and then pick up like a 4th round pick along the way, and maybe like a 4th and a 5th or something like that, and they only drop back like a few spots. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Let's see what we got here. I think we need more young, explosive players. Absolutely. I think they need to get younger because last year they had to add some like vets. They had to, but I think they have to start getting younger, looking for that future. Guys like, Tyler Biotish, some foundational pieces. Jeremy Chinn's still young. I feel like that was a really big part. Like you saw the Zach Ertz, you saw the Austin Ecklers, you saw the Bobby Wagner. But I think adding some of those younger guys too, Dorrance Armstrong was one of them too, that had like, Chin only had a 1-year deal, but like those 3-year deals where it's like, okay, this could be like a young nucleus to build around with Jaden. Do you think we'd acquire on Pickens? No, I do not want Pickens either. I think Pickens is like the worst thing that could happen to this team. Please no. Allen to me looked explosive in a few games I watched, 744 yards this year. That's talking about Keenan Allen. Maybe I have to go back and rewatch him, but it seemed like even Bears fans were just like, I don't know, like if they would bring him back. Do you see us going for a dynamic running back in the 2nd round? Judkins Henderson. I think Henderson would be the top option. I think Dylan Sampson would be a top option in the 2nd. And if Caleb Johnson's there, I would be ecstatic. And I think Devin Neal in the 3rd. I think Damian Martinez in the 3rd's best options. But definitely need one of those just playmaker running backs that has the speed, but also has the power and the contact balance. That's why I like those guys the most. Caleb Johnson, Sampson, Henderson, obviously Marion Hampton, but he's not going to be there in the 1st. In the 2nd. Caleb Johnson probably wouldn't be there in the 2nd by the time we pick either. Trayvon Henderson's going in the 2nd. Like I'm so confident in that. He is a pro's pro. He is what GMs would rule over for a running back. Like Trayvon Henderson is a complete running back. Like if this is almost any other running back draft, he's probably going either 1st or 2nd running back. The fact that he could go like 5th or 6th is crazy. It just tells you how good this is. And then you have like Cam Scatteraboo. Teams really like him too. How much cap is created if and when they extend Terry? So it's kind of tricky because it depends on a couple things. I will say this though, if they extend Terry, let me pull up his contract right now because I don't know what his cap hit is next year. So his cap hit in 2025 is 25.5 mil. That's a lot. But what they would probably do if they extended him I guarantee you next year's cap hit would be lower than 25 and a half. I mean, it's right at 25.5 on the dot. What it would be is, I don't know what the exact number would be. It just depends on the contract. And like I said, the salary cap is probably going to go up. If I had to guess, I'd say between 7 to 10 mil each, like for each team. I would love to see the salary cap go up 10 mil. I mean, heck, even more would be awesome, but we'll see. I forgot how much it went up last year, but it went up a good bit. Maybe I'm like overshooting with 10 mil. Maybe it's a little too crazy. Maybe it's like 5 or something like that. But if they do extend Terry, I could see it to being where the first year is less than 25 and a half. And then it goes up, like second year is probably 25 and a half. And then third year is probably like close to 30, if not more in the second. People were saying like 3 year, like pretty much like a 30 mil or 30 to 32 mil per year kind of contract. But I think it would free up more money for this offseason because that first deal, or the first year of that new deal, would be like the lightest of the cap hit. And then it would go up the second year to about 25 and a half, if not like 26, 27. And then the third year, it might even hit like 32 or something like that. But in that case, the salary cap's going to go up even more. So who cares? It lets you like manage contract on Spot Track. That's crazy. I've never done that before. But I could see him getting like a 3-year, 30, maybe 31 and a half kind of per year deal. But it's going to help out this offseason because 2025, like I said, it's 25 and a half mil cap hit, which is a lot. Obviously, he deserves that. But if you extend him, it leaves, some of that, but then also locks him in here pretty much for the rest of his career. If he does a 3-year deal, because he's going to be 30 next season. Let's just say he plays till he's like 33, 34. I mean, hell, you add 3 years, he'll be 33 in the last year of his deal. God, it's crazy how old he is already. Like, he came into the league so old, but we still love Terry. I think Westbrook-Akine ends up getting like 8 to 10. Yeah, I could see it just because he did have such a big season. Like I said, he was running through touchdowns for most of the season. But if not, if it's like 6 or 7, I'm probably doing it. Even 8 or 10, like, I think he would fit really well. Like, he would be a really good De'Ami Brown replacement. They're a little bit different, but like, talk about like that deep threat ability. I think Westbrook-Akine would be a really good De'Ami Brown replacement. And he balls out throughout the whole year, not just in the playoffs. Unpopular opinion, I'm not a Quan Martin fan. I think we need a complete secondary overhaul. So I like Quan Martin. I feel like he's one of the ascending guys. But I really like Andrew Makuba from Texas. I think Quan. I think Quan's good. I mean, obviously, I think you get a lot of help when your corners are healthy and you get another corner. I think that obviously makes a big difference. But I do like Quan. I'm not saying replace him, but if you are, and he's a depth guy that you're rotating in, like, go draft an Andrew Makuba from Texas. Like, he's one of my favorite safeties. Who else is there at safety? Xavier Watts. Yeah, he'd be nuts too. Xavier Watts. Nick Imanwori. He's more of like a strong safety though. Jonas Sinker from Virginia would be a stud. I could see him like the third. If you get Andrew Makuba in the third, oh my God. Sebastian Castro from Iowa is another dude. Kevin Winston Jr. I think he's more of a strong safety though. But Xavier Watts in the second at free safety. Wow. That would be tempting at that point. Like, that's when you're kind of like, Quan Martin, we love you, but we're going to rotate you in. We're going to go get Xavier Watts. I feel like Jalen Knowles being heavily slept on. Yeah, so he had a really good week as well at the Senior Bowl. Really shifty guy. He was, I want to say he was smaller than I thought. Like, at least looking at him, he was smaller. Xavier Restrepo was a guy I was like, holy smokes, he's actually really small. But they have Jalen at 117. Yeah, he was 5'11", 200. I knew he was a stockier dude, but he was nice. Like, he looked nice. He was killing like one-on-ones, especially. They have him at 117. You'd have to take him in the third because we don't have a fourth. There's so many like fourth round prospects I really like. And we don't have a fourth. Pat Bryant, Torrey Horton. I'm telling y'all, Kyle Williams, that's my dude. That's my dude. I know he's 6 foot, 186. He's probably gonna be closer to like 190, 192 when the season starts, though. So I'm not worried about his size. But yeah, I really want a fourth round pick. Like, I'm fine trading back like 3 or 4 spots in this first round, unless there's someone crazy there. And getting like a third or a fourth. I mean, a third and a fourth to trade back. Like, I would love that. Any stud middle linebackers you can see us drafting in round 2 or 3, I imagine we'll bring Bobby back and give McGee a shot to compete with somebody else next year. So, yeah, I think Bobby will be back. Honestly, I was not looking much at linebackers, but I was really surprised by a couple dudes at the Senior Bowl. Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame is a baller. They have him at 123. So I'm probably not taking a linebacker in the first, second, third round. But if you get a guy in the 5th at 148, Cody Lindenberg, Minnesota, really good. Jay Higgins from Iowa, I like him a lot too. Smell Mondon Jr. from Georgia. Danny Stutzman, Oklahoma, sure. Cody Simon, Ohio State. I thought he came back. Maybe he did. Maybe he had to declare because they got him on here. I thought he was coming back. But yeah, Cody Simon, Ohio State's another one. Kobe King, Penn State. I completely forgot about Barrett Carter. That was a dude who was like a top 10 pick last year, remember? Jeffrey Baza from Oregon. I wouldn't mind getting Cody Lindenberg in the 5th if he's there. Like I said, Kaiser's probably going too high for me. They have him at 123. If he makes it to the 5th round, sure, take Jack Kaiser because that dude was a stud. He had a really good season, but at the Senior Bowl, I was like, holy smokes, this guy. He had like 2 interceptions. He had a forced fumble, like not during the game, but like at practices. I was like, yeah, that dude, like he caught my attention. Quan Shin is good enough. We just need another cornerback like Ward from San Francisco. That's what I'm thinking too, Jay. I think Quan would be on the rise if we got better corner play. It's so glaring how bad, or how much it hurts your safeties when your corners are just playing really bad. So obviously when you have Samer still on one side and the other side, it was like Ben St. Juste for a lot of the season. Quan Martin was most of the time over on that side too. So he was like, shit, here we go. I gotta stop this big play. So there was a lot of stress on Quan Martin because of our cornerback play, and it got better. It definitely got better near the second half of the season. Obviously, like I said, being able to put Noah in the slot, having Mikey outside, and then having Lattimore on the other side really helped them out a lot. Barrett Carter from Clemson, yeah, they have him at 116. So you'd probably have to take him at 79 in the 3rd. I just don't know if I'm willing to do that. I just don't know. What about a Quay Walker trade? That'd be dope. I don't think they would want to trade him though. Well, yeah. So I mean, there's some I don't want to say rumors, but like people like saying like Quay Walker could be a trade candidate. What's his contract like though? So he's not even a free agent until 2027. I could see it. I mean, I'd kind of be surprised if they trade him, especially because he's young. He's like 24. I think he's good. I'd be surprised if the Packers trade him, though. I'd be really surprised. But heck, if he's available, yeah, put him on the outside. That's definitely one I'll have to look into. I didn't know he was like a trade candidate or whatever, so I'll have to take a look at it. But I'm going to wrap this up here, y'all. Tomorrow, I'm not going to be doing any videos or anything. Same with Sunday because the Super Bowl. Today's Friday. That's crazy. But like I said, Monday, I'll be putting out 2 videos. I'll be going live on Bleacher Report at 6 p.m. Eastern time, talking about why the Washington Commanders will win the Super Bowl next year. And then Monday, I'll also do a mock draft and just put it out. I'm not going to go live. I'm just going to do a mock draft simulator on PFF, and it's going to be a Myles Garrett mock draft. So mock draft Mondays are going to be a thing, so you can expect that. I'm going to be doing different situations like trading for Myles Garrett, trading for Cooper Kupp, and then obviously with free agency, not that far away. I know it seems like forever away. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks and some change in a few days until it happens. So until then, I'll be doing mock draft Mondays, and then obviously with after free agency, that'll give us a really good idea of what mock drafts could look like after filling in a lot of needs. So appreciate y'all for coming through here. Yeah, JJ Spartan said Denzel Ward said if Cleveland trades Garrett, he wants out too. Yeah, which kind of makes it tough because he's one of the contracts they would have to restructure to even make enough room to trade Myles Garrett and eat up that dead cap that he would be giving them. So terrible situation for the Browns. But when do you estimate Cleveland making a decision on Garrett trade? I think it's going to be after we get the salary cap number. I think for teams involved, unless it's like a dire need, like it's very tricky because at the very end of the month, end of February, I would say we'll probably get an idea of the new salary cap around the 27th or 28th of February, like what the exact number is going to be. Because that's about what it was last year. And I think that gives you an idea. Because if it's more, then obviously like it helps the Browns out. There's not as much moves as they have to make. So it just doesn't make sense to me for the Browns. First off, they don't want to trade him anyways. But if the salary cap goes up, it helps out. Like, how much you have to restructure Deshaun Watson, how much of Ward. Maybe you don't have to release Conklin, which obviously I don't think they would want to do. But they would probably have to create the cap space because right now they're in the negatives. They're in negative 38 mil, which is nuts. Yikes. So I think if I had to pick like an exact time for the trade to happen, it would be the very beginning of March. I would say somewhere between like March 1st and like March 5th, like before free agency. Like they would want to get it done, and the other teams would want to get it done around that time. So I say we have a little less than a month, or maybe right at a month, or a little less than a month of when Myles Garrett could be traded. Unless the team's just like, hey, we want to go ahead and get this done, and they're super aggressive because they don't want some other team like coming in and offering more and taking control of that bid. Then maybe it would happen sooner rather than later, but I'd still give like another 2 weeks. But I would be shocked. I mean, shocked if it happened before the end of the month. I would be really shocked. Like I said, it would have to take a team saying, we're going to give you 2 firsts, a third, and a fourth, something crazy. And just keep this in mind too. I've said this a bunch of times, but maybe, people in here haven't heard it before. The Cleveland Browns cannot take a player in this trade unless it's like a rookie. Like it would have to be like Jerzon Newton or somebody. But do not put John Allen or Daron Payne in a trade to the Browns because they literally can't afford him. Like I said, they're already in the negative. They're already going to have to move around a lot of money. They have to move Deshaun Watson's contract. They have to move Ward. They have to cut Conklin probably just to have enough room to get rid of Myles Garrett. They cannot accept another player. And they're like, oh my God, we're negative 20 mil again. Like now we have to make more moves because we just got stuck with Daron Payne and John Allen. So do not put them in trade like conversations of going to the Browns. They're going to be looking for a pick-only trade. A pick-only trade. Like this is no, oh, hey, we can release this player. No, they want as much pick asset as possible, and they don't want players. They cannot afford to pay anybody. They probably are going to have to sit out most of free agency because of like how much, especially if they trade Myles Garrett, they're going to have to sit out a lot of free agency. They'll make a couple of little moves. They're going to probably lose Chubb. They'll probably lose a couple of their other free agents. Let me look real quick to see who they even have as free agents. Let me see. Who else are we picking up off the Browns while they're down bad? Jedrick Wills, Jameis Winston, Nick Harris, Nick Chubb, Elijah Moore. Naheem Hines, Jordan Atkins, Maurice Hurst, Devin Bush. Nothing crazy. James Prochet, Tron Christian, shout out Tron Christian. Khalid Hudson, okay. Hakeem Adinji, Bailey Zappi, I forgot he was even there. James Houston. I mean, they don't have a ton of like important free agents. I don't even think they like Jedrick Wills anymore. But like Nick Chubb, Maurice Hurst, Devin Bush. Not the craziest free agents, so they kind of got lucky there, but they're still going to lose a majority of those guys. They would lose a majority of them. Bashard Smith from SMU, really fast, and he catches a lot. So I think he kind of reminds me of like Keaton Mitchell that came out of ECU that's on the Ravens. Kind of reminds me of him. What if the price was a first, third, and Newton? Would you do it? First, third, and Newton. I'm just really high on Newton. I think he's going to be so good. But if that's what it took, I mean, dang, yeah. Probably would. But I am really high on Newton. Like Newton was one of my favorite picks last year. Like when the draft first happened, I'm like, all right, Jane Daniels is going to be good. Micah Sanders still, I know he's going to be certified. But Newton, like I can't believe we got Newton. Because he was a menace at Illinois. Like, dude was a dog at Illinois. And then he had that injury in the offseason. Like people forget about so much context. But I think Newton's going to be really good. But a first, third, and Newton, and you get to keep that first next year, that's tempting. Need a backup center and guard. Yep. Truth be told, I will drop a video for you beginning of the week, maybe Tuesday. That'll be my video. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be later in the week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate y'all. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. Hit the like button so this gets pushed out to other Washington fans and they can keep up with the channel. But like I said, guys, this is going to be a crazy offseason. You got a lot going on. It's going to be nonstop. Y'all are going to see me almost pretty much every day, maybe twice a day. Like I said, Monday will be a double-decker video day from me. 2 uploads. Unless I push the one. I don't know if I should do that. But Monday, I'll for sure have my Myles Garrett mock draft. Maybe I'll push the other videos, save that for Tuesday, and then Wednesday I'll do the free agent, like offensive guard. We'll see. I'm gonna think about it tonight. But y'all enjoy the Super Bowl. Go Chiefs. If you're rooting for the Eagles, why? That's my main question. Why? But definitely hoping they lose. 3-peat, cool. I don't care. I'm not even a Chiefs fan. I just anyone but the Eagles. I don't care what happens. I don't care if it ends in a tie. Like, just please don't let them win this. But like I said, y'all hit that subscribe button. We're going to go crazy this offseason. This is going to be an insane offseason. Started out hot already with Cooper Kupp trade scenarios and Myles Garrett requesting a trade. And guys, players want to come here. This is a new day. This is a new day. We have a lot of money. We have some good draft picks. Don't let people tell you that we don't, because we do. And we have a really, really good team to build around. So I'm excited, y'all. I will catch y'all Monday with the mock draft video. I'll probably do it like midday. It'll probably come out like 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern time. Let's see. Last question. Would you rather have Luther Burden or Mika Ibuka? I think Burden's the higher prospect, but I do like Mika Ibuka. Like, he's a pro. Super smart. One of the most productive wide receivers at Ohio State history, which is crazy with all the guys they've had. I'm really high on both. I think Emeka Egbuka has a better chance of going to the outside when Luther Burden doesn't. Luther Burden's going to be a slot wide receiver, like straight up. So I want people to realize that too. He never played outside. But he can still be a really good wide receiver too from the slot. Like, think about like a Jackson Smith and Jigba. But he's a really stocky, hard to tackle, really good after the catch kind of slot guy. But I think Emeka Egbuka, because of his size, he's like, 6'2", 205, something like that. I think he could go outside. He just didn't do it a lot because they had Jeremiah Smith. They had, Carnell Tate. They've just been loaded out wide receiver for so long. He was the guy that could go in the slot, which was impressive for his size too. Like, he played really well there. So I think he could go inside or outside. I want to see what that outside transition looks like. But the dude, his IQ is just off the charts. Like, he is a Terry Jr., in my opinion. So I would love Emeka Egbuka. I think he'd be a lot more, a better chance of coming here. What do you think about Benjamin Morrison to add to our corner room? Love Benjamin Morrison too. Him and Revel both had season-ending injuries. Hated to see it. But I think both would be really good fits. Let me see real quick where they even have them ranked at now because of everything. They have Revel at 34. Where's Benjamin Morrison at? He should have got drafted. Oh yeah, they have him drafted at 21. I was about to say he's a first round guy still. I think Rebel's a better opportunity. Him, Barron, Amos. I love Trey Amos too. I told him he's a DQ guy. Same with Maxwell Hairston and Azariah Thomas from Florida State. Baller. Kobe Bryant, baller. Noah Williams, baller at corner. There's some really good corners in this draft too. Really good corners. But I think you have to take one of the first 3 rounds if you want a guy that can start day one, which I think there will be some. But we'll see. I would like to go get Charvarius Ward in free agency. That's one of the guys I'll definitely talk about on my videos. But appreciate y'all. I'll see you on Monday. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Stay safe. Drive safe. Take an Uber if you go out. All that crazy stuff. And I'll catch y'all next week. Appreciate y'all.